everyone has a theory on Zoro, whether it's him time traveling with Toki, him being related to Toki, him being the son of Ushimaru, or whatever. But has anyone made a timeline leading to the simple explanation to Zoro's father and why Zoro is the man he is today? Today you'll be getting just that, and trust me, it's not even that complicated. But for all of this to make sense, you need to watch the video all the way through to the very end. So let me tell you a story on how the new world's greatest swordsman came to be. 55 years ago, Shimotsuki Ushimaru was a swordsman of Wano Kuni. Shimotsuki Ushimaru was legendary. We would know him from having blue hair, traveling with a fox, all sort of stuff like that. But I do want to point out how he was known in the anime and manga to wear a coat that features a green bull. Now let's hold on to this idea. You might see where I'm going with it, but it's important that we point this out. Now there's a legend in Japanese mythology called the Momotaro legend, and it's actually a direct reference to not only One Piece itself, but the Wano Kuni arc, as multiple admirals are based off the characters in this legend. And even characters that are not admirals are still based off characters from the Momotaro legend. We have the monkey being Luffy, we have the Oni being Kaido, etc. But I want to point out how in this legend, it says that there's an ox and a tiger who are from the location of the evil Oni. What I'm proposing to you today is that this ox is Green Bull and that this tiger is Fujitora. So a bull is essentially a cattle that's only male, but an ox is a cattle that's either male or female. But either way, I believe that this ox in the Momotaro legend is correlating and it's related to Ushimaru. And as far as the tiger goes, this must be connected to Fujitora since that word literally translates to purple tiger. What further helps this idea is that this tiger in the Momotaro legend is called Ushitora. This is very self-explanatory. The ox would be Green Bull, the tiger would be Fujitora, and these guys are going to be from Wano Kuni. Now we also know that Shimotsuki Kozaburo leaves Wano and creates Shimotsuki Village. Now since Kozaburo is a Shimotsuki just like Ushimaru, they have to be blood related, and in what sense we are not sure, it's not clear. I would hypothesize that Kozaburo is the brother of Ushimaru. And as far as why he left Wano, that is still unclear given that Kaido and Orochi went to Wano Kuni far after Kozaburo left. But either way, why Kozaburo decided to leave Wano doesn't matter too much. And the final point of this area of the timeline is that Shimotsuki Village is where Zoro grew up. That's where his dojo was, that's where Kuina lives. This was Zoro's childhood. Now at some point, I hypothesized that Ushimaru had a son named Shimotsuki Ryokugu. Now I know technically Ryokugu translates to Green Bull, and more than likely he didn't name his son Green Bull, but for the sake of this video so that there's not confusion, we're going to call the son of Ushimaru Green Bull or Ryokugu. Now first of all, Ryokugu has the word Ryo in it, a legendary fighting style introduced in Wano, a type of hockey, a type of armament hockey introduced in Wano. Now technically this isn't the most concrete insane proof, but given the situation that Green Bull is from Wano, we would be like, okay, this was very obvious. They put Ryo in his name. This is intentional by Oda, and it will be very clear to us in the future. And now the second point is that Ryokugu is a current admiral of the Marines under the epithet of Green Bull. Across the entire story of One Piece, we go to Alabasta, Skypiea, Dressrosa, we go to all these countries and islands. The only time we've ever heard or seen Green Bull just so happens to be potential candidate of a Wano citizen, Ryokugu, and then Ushimaru, a guy who's literally wearing a Green Bull coat. There's no other instance where Oda used a Green Bull in the story, and I'm led to believe that just off that, Green Bull must be connected to Ushimaru in some sense. Now the third point is that Green Bull told Fujitora that he's been fasting. Now this is kind of vague, this is kind of, oh, what does that mean? But I'm led to believe that if he's from Wano, it makes sense that he's been fasting given what happened to the country of Wano. These people are starving, they're not being able to eat. Look what Orochi did to Ebisu Town. So I believe that this is a small little hint to what's going on in Wano, especially when Luffy's dream is to make sure all of his friends can eat as much as they want. I think Green Bull might actually relate to Luffy when it comes to that point. Now I have a lot more evidence connecting Green Bull to Ushimaru, but in order to avoid confusion, let's progress through the timeline. Now fast forwarding a little bit, 24 years ago, Goldie Rogers executed and creates the Great Age of Pirates. This isn't a super vital part of the timeline or theory, but it's important that we point this out because the time frame is what matters. This took place 24 years ago. 2 years after that, Ace is born but ends up having his name changed. Now let's keep in mind that Ace changed his name to hide his identity. He doesn't want to be synonymous. He doesn't want to be connected to Goldie Roger. This leads a lot of people to theorize maybe this character's renamed, maybe that character's renamed, but I believe I have the best candidate for someone that switched their name to hide their identity. And if you see where I'm going with this, you'll know exactly who I'm going to say who had their name hidden. But 2 years after that, Shimotsuki Ushimaru and the daimyo of Wano fight Kaido to save the country, but unfortunately they die. Right before this, we see in Yamato's flashback when she was a child, all of the daimyo went in front of her, they fed her, they saw Oden's journal. This was leading to the eventual fight that they would have with Kaido. Fast forward in chapter 1048, we see that Kaido managed to kill all the daimyo, he eliminated all of them, so unfortunately at this point, Ushimaru would have died. And it's important to note, at this point with Ushimaru fighting Kaido, he was around 59 years old. More than likely, this 59-year-old swordsman had a son by this point, and he was probably even an adult. And this leads into how Shimotsuki Ryokugu had a son named Zoro. Now, anybody could tell that Ushimaru and Zoro look almost the exact same. They're completely synonymous and identical. And the simple reason for this is because they are related, they are connected by blood. But the problem is that Ushimaru is not the father of Zoro. Ushimaru is going to be the grandfather of Zoro. Now, I actually want to talk about an interview that Oda had with a reader because we learned some very interesting things that confirm this theory. So a reader approached Oda and he says, "Hey Oda, is Ushimaru the father of Zoro?" And Oda responds, "No, technically Ushimaru's not the father of Zoro." And I think Oda was really brave for doing this because technically Ushimaru is related to Zoro, but he's just not the father. So Oda's really going out and he's saying, "Hey, you're close, but you're not close enough." And then Oda goes on to say he's not sure if he will draw the lineage of Ushimaru. I speculate this is because if he draws the son of Ushimaru, we're going to realize the very simple connection. We are going to realize Zoro's lineage, his mystery, his past. If Oda draws Ryokugu, aka Green Bull, we would see that Zoro is the son, Green Bull's the father, Ushimaru is the grandfather. And then Oda abruptly ends the discussion, which I think's weird, and teases us again, asking if Ushimaru and Zoro look similar. Yes, Oda, they look similar, and we're not dumb, we caught on. Ushimaru and Zoro look similar because they are grandfather and son. Another strong piece of evidence, another big indicator to this whole Zoro situation is actually from Sanji. So if you remember back to the Jaya arc, Sanji was in the background listening to Cricket talk about the North Blue, and it was essentially foreshadowing Sanji's backstory. Well, what if I told you Zoro had the same kind of moment, but in Zou? Zoro was listening to Minks talk about a pirate coming into Wano and disrupting and terrorizing the country and taking it for their own gain, and they were essentially not strong enough. And I guarantee you this is foreshadowing how Ushimaru, Ryokugu, etc., Zoro's lineage, struggled against Kaido. They struggled not being strong enough to take out Kaido. Now this actually makes perfect sense because this would explain why Zoro wanted to be the world's strongest swordsman before he met Kuina. If he knows that his father or his grandfather Ryokugu and Ushimaru were not strong enough to save their country, this explains why he wants to be the world's strongest swordsman. Now to the limit of what he knows about Ryokugu and Ushimaru is unclear because Zoro is a quiet man. He's a quiet stoic man. He keeps things to himself. He's not gonna blurt out what he does and doesn't know. So he might not know that it was Kaido. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't know who his father was. The lines are blurred to what Zoro does and doesn't know. The final point I want to make is that Zoro having an admiral father is not that unlikely because all across the board, these Straw Hat members have very badass and notable and famous fathers. Luffy's dad is Dragon, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and even his grandfather is the hero of the Marines. Sanji's dad is Judge, the founder of Germa 66 and Mads. Usopp's dad is Yasop, the most legendary sniper of all time. And Frankie's dad was Tom, the most legendary shipwright of all time. So for Zoro to have a father that grew up to be an admiral and got stronger and joined the Marines is not that unlikely. And that actually fits the story better than Zoro's dad being a random person with no name, a random pirate. Now moving forward in the timeline, Shimotsuki Ryokugu goes to his uncle Kozaboro's village, aka Shimotsuki village, and that's where Zoro's raised. Now if we remember, Kaido and Orochi taking over Wano would drive out the Shimotsukis from Wano country. If Ryokugu's like, "Hey, my uncle Kozaboro has a village in the East Blue called Shimotsuki village, it would probably be safe for me to put my Shimotsuki son in that village and have him safe there." And it makes even more sense when you consider that fathers in One Piece always abandon their son for their own immorals and their own missions and goals. So for Ryokugu to leave his son behind while he himself goes do God knows what, just like Yasop and Dragon, this makes sense and it fits the narrative of One Piece. Now the interesting part is just like Roger, Ryokugu's son Zoro takes on the surname from his mom rather than father. This is actually a very beautiful plot device and parallel made by Oda. We have Roger and Ryokugu. These two have a legendary son who takes on the name from the mother to hide the true identity of their son. I highly doubt through the entirety of One Piece that only Ace is going to be a dude that changed his name to hide his identity, and that's because Roanoa Zoro is actually Shimotsuki Zoro. If you made it this far into the video, like, comment, and subscribe because this took forever to make. Now in current day One Piece, about 2 years ago, Zoro's parallel Ace dies during Marineford. This was a very sad moment for both the characters in the story and the readers to see Luffy's metaphorical brother die. But Luffy bounced back because he remembered that he has friends to live for, he has friends to fight for. But most importantly, Zoro is Luffy's right-hand man. Luffy has a metaphorical brother to continue fighting for for Zoro. Now 1 year later, Ryokugu is drafted into the Marines and becomes an admiral under the name of Shimotsuki Ryokugu. This is yet again another brilliant, beautiful move made by Oda, because Marines can't hate Ryokugu for having a pirate son since they don't know Ryokugu is the father of Zoro. It's Shimotsuki Ryokugu and Roronoa Zoro. And if you throw Fujitora into the mix, this dude acts and dresses like he's from Wano, and a lot of people would argue him and Green Bull are a duo. So if you want to say Fujitora's from Wano, you'd probably say Green Bull's from Wano. If Green Bull's from Wano wearing a Green Bull coat, he is most likely the son of Ushimaru, further connecting to Zoro. Now moving on in the timeline, Ryokugu takes on the epithet of Green Bull just like the coat his father used to wear. This makes too much sense. Green Bull became a Marine to fight off and fend off pirates like Kaido, and he decided to take on the epithet of Green Bull like the coat his father used to wear. I don't know how to expand on this because to me it is very clear what's going on. Further down the timeline, Zoro visits Wano, the country of false identity, when he himself has a false identity. All throughout Wano, we know this double identity, this false identity theme. It's going on with almost every single character. Denjiro's pretending to support the Kurizumis, Kanjuro's pretending to support the Kazukis, Yamato's pretending to be Odin, but the biggest twist is that we have a Straw Hat, Zoro, pretending to be a Roronoa when he's actually a Shimotsuki. Everyone believes that Sanji's arc was Whole Cake Island, where it revealed his false identity. He wasn't a regular dude, he was a prince, he was a member of Germa 66, he was a member of the Vinsmokes. And now Wano is going to be an arc for Zoro. He's going to get his own false identity revealed. Sanji's not a normal guy, he is a Vinsmoke. Zoro's not a normal guy, he is a Shimotsuki. And it would also make sense if we get some Green Bull and Fujitora here in the Wano arc, given their deep connection to Wano Kuni, and even their animalistic epithets of Green Bull, Purple Tiger, connecting to the Momotaro legend. I believe this is the arc we're gonna learn about Green Bull and probably even Fujitora. Now, what does this mean for the story of One Piece? There's going to be a very beautiful and interesting conflict between Zoro and Green Bull. One's a Marine hating pirates and one is literally a pirate. I expect to have some kind of situation where Green Bull says, you don't know your grandfather Ushimaru had to die to a pirate and you decided to become a pirate. And then Zoro comes from the stance, I am a swordsman. Yes, I'm part pirate, but I am a swordsman. I don't live by those kinds of beliefs. I don't make people starve. I don't believe in slavery. I'm a good pirate. And that's where Green Bull and Zoro will clash and have a misunderstanding. And this is more beautiful for the plot of One Piece, having Zoro fight an admiral eventually who ends up being his father. We don't like these boring fights where the hero and the antagonist don't have some underlying deep emotional connection, but if Zoro has to fight his own father, this puts a lot on the table versus just good guy, bad guy. So now let me ask you, look deep down within yourself and ask yourself, is Green Bull the father of Zoro?